When news originally broke of this, I wanted to do a video on it, but I decided let me wait a little bit, see what would happen, if anything would come out of it, if anything else would be revealed. I decided to wait a little bit, and we got some new information. Let me start with what has happened. It's been a good week in entertainment, to be honest with you. It's been a good week in entertainment. The Star Wars movie that they were talking about from this guy, I forget his name, was going to do some garbage. That has been cancelled. And now we're learning that Victoria Alonso, the woman who a lot of people consider to be the head woke at the company, has been fired. Or let go or left, whatever, we haven't got any information. All we know is that she's gone. She is gone. Right? Victoria Alonso is gone. I got some information to break down here, but let me go through it first. This article here reads, Victoria Alonso reportedly out at Marvel Studios after Disney CEO Bob Iger called into question quality issues at Marvel, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania failed at the box office. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, I saw the movie, I did a review for it. Like I said, it's better than Thor Love and Thunder, but the quality of it is not good. And after the massive failure that was Phase 4 of Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is what starts off Phase 5, and it has not been good. It's reported that that movie is basically a flop at this point. It's not going to make as much money as the first Ant-Man movie. In fact, it has lost money. It needed to make at least over 600,000 to try and make some kind of profit, and it doesn't even seem like it's going to make 500,000. It's below that, and it's not looking good because people are just sick and tired of the MCU at this point. They no longer care about the quality that they're putting out. You look back at things from Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, when they were building movies and they were making things, and you could actually sit there and say, well, okay, this seems like something we could get interested in. This seems like something people could like. People like the characters. They like what was going on. You've abandoned all of that to replace them with a bunch of nonsense that nobody cares about. Nobody cares about Ironheart. Nobody cares about America Chavez. Nobody cares about Shuri as wannabe Black Panther, because that whole entire Black Panther was just terrible. And this had Black Panther for like 10 minutes, and nobody gives a crap about it. These are things that failed in the comics, and Marvel is running headfirst into doing this failure in their big screen and small screen, and they're failing miserably. Now, when it comes to Victoria Alonso, I mean, it's like the woman started off at Marvel. She started off back when around when they had the first Iron Man movie and stuff. And you know, from what I understand, her job mostly back then was like scouting locations and then kind of work and stuff. And she was good at what she was doing. She had producer credit on what she was doing then. But then as the MCU grew and it evolved, she moved up the ladder, and it basically becomes what happens when you literally rise above where you should be. She did not have the chops to do this thing because she was the one who was pushing for as much inclusivity and diversion, all kind of things, very things that are destroying the MCU. Like I've said, there's always been that in entertainment. But you know, as far as these people are concerned, it hasn't happened until they say it has happened. But we'll go through parts of this here and you'll come to understand it. Talk about what it is that offered the Iron Man. She was recently promoted to President of Physical and Post-Production, Visual Effects and Animation Production. I'll get to that in a moment. Then the VFX, I'll get to that in a moment. Alright? Right. Yeah, so Ant-Man and the Wasp film grossed $216.6 million domestically and $406.4 million internationally for a global gross of $623.1 million. Oh, that's the first one, right? The second one, well, no, this is the number for the first Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania make $205.8 million domestically and $156.8 million internationally, which only comes up to $462.6 million. So like I said, the movie has lost money. And one of the things about it is that nobody's talking about Kang, who they tried to bring up as this new big bad in the movie. All people are talking about is MODOK and how absolutely terrible the CGI and everything looks for MODOK. Because everything is like a running joke without putting quality into it. Right, so Bob Iger said this really stupid thing here because, this is the guy who came back. Well, he was in charge of Disney before, then it had Bob Chapek. He got rid of him and came back now and talking about, what are they about. So he had this to say, what we have to look at Marvel is not necessarily the volume of Marvel storytelling, but how many times we go back to the well on certain characters. Continued sequels typically work well for us, but do you need a third or a fourth, for instance? Or is it time to turn to other characters? There's nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand. I think we just have to look at what characters and stories we are mining. Now, that should tell you how ridiculously moronic this man is. People like their characters. They don't mind seeing a second, a third, a fourth movie. You understand me? There's a lot of movies to tell at Marvel. People like Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Black Panther, all these different characters at Marvel. They like them. They want to see movies about them. But when you've decided, listen, we're going to bring in Black Captain America, or we're going to bring in, Captain Carter, nobody's going to want to see that. People like Captain America, Steve Rogers. When you've decided, listen, we're going to bring in Ironheart. Nobody gives a crap about Riri Williams. She wasn't popular in the comics. She sure as hell isn't going to be popular in the MCU. People want Iron Man. Nobody wants to see Amadeus Cho as Hulk. People want to see Bruce Banner as actual Hulk, not friggin' Professor Hulk. That nonsense. Nobody cares about that. So coming out and say that, sequels typically work well for us, but we need a third and fourth. But clearly you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't seem to understand why the brand is failing. That just is nonsense. This is it here. At the GLAAD Awards, Victoria Alonso went on this insane rant in regards to the, so-called Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, which doesn't even say that at all. But you see, this is what I'm talking about. She kept using her position as a pulpit to talk a bunch of nonsense and say stupid things that nobody cared about. Right, she goes on here. Another fact I could play is Alonso comments that former CEO Bob Chapek during an appearance at the GLAAD Media Awards back in April 2022. While accepting an award, Alonso said, if you are a member of the alphabet community and you work at the Walt Disney Company, the last 2 or 3 weeks have been a sad event. I've asked Mr. Chapek for coverage in a 45-minute sit-down. I asked him to look around and truly, if what we sell is entertainment for the family. We don't choose what family. Family is this entire family is the family in Texas, in Arizona, in Florida. Look, all of that. She just kept going on in this absolutely insane rant, trying to push this whole nonsense about it. You understand me? That nobody cared about. Victoria Alonso, again, used her position to try to preach to the masses about a bunch of nonsense nobody cares about. This is why Disney is in such trouble today. It's the family brand, but what you wanted to do was shove a bunch of garbage down people's throat. You understand me? Movies and TV shows and things directed at children. Parents don't want all your gay agenda stuff, plastered there for their children to see. They just want children to be children. But no, you're out there talking about diversity and inclusion, all of these things. And you ever wonder why it's always the people who talk about diversity and inclusion that turn out to be some of the most nasty individuals you will ever meet? Because if you actually take a look, from what I've come to understand, and I'm going to give it from what this is an article from CBR in January 14, 2023. Insider says one Marvel one Marvel exec can make or ruin VFX careers. According to Hollywood insiders, VFX artists fear being blacklisted by industry bully Marvel Studios, particularly executive Victoria Alonso. Remember, one of the reasons we're getting such terrible VFX from Marvel these days is because a lot of people refuse to work with the company. You've heard reports, and I've done reason little stuff about how they keep wanting to change things, tight deadlines, little pay, people working round the clock for days, getting fed up. There's some people who actually came out and said they will never work with Marvel again. And now we get to find out Victoria Alonso was literally going around bullying people. And we get another report comes out here. MCU co-founder created Marvel's toxic VFX work environment. We want to talk about bad VFX. Let's look at She-Hulk, one of the worst shows that has ever been done. Understand me? Goes on. Victoria Alonso, co-founder of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and former president of physical post-production, VFX, and animation at Marvel Studios, was reportedly behind the company's toxic VFX work environment. According to senior reporter Chris Lee via The Direct, Alonso was singularly responsible for Marvel's toxic work environment. A kingmaker who rewarded unquestioning fealty with an avalanche of work, but who also maintained a blacklist that kept FX pros wild-eyed with fear. He added that she held a crazy amount of power and that everyone in the VFX industry was quite scared of Alonso. Right? Now, some other people have come out and disputed what he said and all the other thing, but this is not the first time I have heard these reports. There have been talks about problems when it comes to the VFX executives and Victoria Alonso in particular. Now, while I'm saying this, let me just be honest with you. She may very well bounce back and get some other position, some other company somewhere else and continue whatever the hell she's doing. But all of these layoffs are coming at the time when Bob Iger and Disney is trying to clean house. They fired like about 4,000 people set to be fired, all that thing, because Disney and the MCU is losing money because you are producing garbage. You refuse to listen to what people are telling you, and you continue to make the same mistakes again and again. And here you have Victoria Alonso, who was out there, basically a kingmaker. If people just agreed with her and did exactly what she wanted, good. But if you question it, that was a problem. Like I said, it's always the people who claim to be the most diverse and claim to be the most accepting and claim to be the most loving, who turned out to be some of the worst individuals ever. I've experienced it myself. You say something online talking about how bad something actually is, how terrible something is, or you give an honest review about something, people attack you for it. And these are the same people with all kind of things talking about how they're against this and they're against the other, but they come out in the most vicious way possible. Victoria Alonso ended up in this position because she should have just been where she was, but no, she rose up the ranks to be one of the top 100 most powerful women in Hollywood. And rather than just do her job, she decided to use it as a pulpit, use her position as a pulpit to push as much nonsense as possible. She came out saying all sorts of things. This was the same woman. So the same woman who came out and said that, you know, the X-Men name is outdated. Why? Because it have she said something about why do they call them X-Men when it have women in the team and it's so outdated? Maybe it should be called the Marvel. We should be called the mutants. And people were like, woman, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, Stan Lee originally wanted to call them the mutants, but then he settled on the name, a better name, the X-Men, which they have always been for so long. And the X-Men have always had women in them. Storm led the team, and during the 80s, during the Claremont run, all that thing, they have a lot of powerful women in the X-Men. The whole thing about X-Men is that they are a diverse group of people. You understand me? She also came out and said that, the Black Panther movie, one said that what Namor, because it's not Namor, Namor is the boy without love, and you were like, oh my God. And that movie was terrible because why? Why? You couldn't call them the Atlanteans. There had to be something else, or whatever the hell it is. There was some kind of Mayan something. You drove yourself into the ground with this nonsense, doing these stupid things that every time they try to cover and this and that and backtrack and all kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe next week, maybe next week we very well see Kathleen Kennedy go as well. But as far as I can say, Victoria Alonso is out right now. Reports are coming out that, as they have been before, that the woman was a toxic bully when it comes to VFX artists and thing. If you agreed with her and then you kissed the very ground she walked up on, you got work. If you had a problem with it, she blacklisted you. So that's the long and short of it, people. Victoria Alonso is out. Who's going to be next to go at the MCU? We don't know. Who's going to be next to go at Marvel? We don't know. Who's going to be next to go in Disney? I don't know. But if they're looking for people to cut, I would say, head on over to Marvel Comics and just fire quite a few people over there. Maybe the entire X-Men line, because we already know that they're planning to re-swap them when they come into it. But that's the long and short of it. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to notify every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.